This episode of Techno Buffalo is brought to you by Netflix. Welcome back to another episode of Ranger's Rants. Before I get ranting, I want to talk to you about a new project. I want to introduce you to Techno Buffalo's Driven. This is a brand new car show on a brand new channel called TechFeed. I'm teaming up with the folks at Revision 3 and some awesome talent to bring you the latest and greatest news from the world of automobiles. We're going to be doing hands-on drives, 0 to 60 times, talking about the tech in the car, and bringing you the latest and greatest news as it happens. The TechFeed channel is going to have a lot of great content on it, a new video actually every day each week from folks that you already know. Soldier Knows Best, Veronica Belmont, the team at Hack5, and tons of other great content producers. Not going to change what's going on at Techno Buffalo or our YouTube channel, just something in addition to. Hope you enjoy it. Link's going to be down below. Up this week, we're going to talk about RIM and BlackBerry. BlackBerry's annual BlackBerry Jam is going on. We're going to talk about what's coming out, what they're going to do for developers, and what we might see from the company in 2013. I'm also going to touch on how BlackBerry and Apple are more similar than you might think. Let's go ahead and get started. So I know the rant on RIM is a little bit old and tired, but I've got a new twist on it. So let me just recap a little bit. RIM, Research in Motion, Canadian-based company that makes Blackberries. These guys owned the corporate world. Blackberries were everywhere. They were ubiquitous with the business smartphone. You go back before 2007, it was hard to find anyone in the business world that used email on a phone that wasn't using a BlackBerry. We're going back before Android, before the iPhone. Really, it was RIM's game. Windows was still out a little bit. There was Windows Mobile, but mostly RIM had the complete market penetration. So RIM had a really secure operating system. They were able to offer the security that IT professionals needed to let them feel comfortable with their folks out and about checking email. They had a great product and it worked well at what it did. And RIM rested on their laurels. Each incremental upgrade of the phone and the device was very small. This is a company that, if you remember back, I believe 2006, you had to choose whether or not you wanted 3G or Wi-Fi, whether or not you wanted Wi-Fi or GPS. You had to make compromises to use the BlackBerry as a consumer device. RIM was tailoring devices explicitly for the executive and the corporate world, with consumers, general consumers, as a secondary side note. They kept doing this year after year after year, and slowly started losing a little bit of market share. 2007 comes in, Apple's iOS comes in, and suddenly market share starts to slide. We start seeing the phone being reimagined. A year or so later, we see Android come in, we start seeing the phone get further reimagined. Touchscreens are becoming more and more prevalent. BlackBerry still not doing anything. Then we get the BlackBerry Storm. The first touchscreen BlackBerry the world was really excited about. It had a dual clicky screen, it had an on-screen keyboard, it had a browser, and everybody's really excited. Until you use the phone, you realize that it just didn't work. RIM essentially took their old operating system and put a touchscreen on top of it, and it didn't work. And once again, RIM's market share was falling. They kept putting out little upgrades, and eventually all those little upgrades didn't amount to anything big, and they were being passed by every other company. So fast forward a couple more years, Motorola's in the game, HTC's in the game, Samsung's in the game, all making Android phones. You got some Windows Mobile phones still coming out, and then Windows Phone comes out a few years later, and of course Apple is still doing their thing. Those phones get more and more corporate friendly, and suddenly RIM's market share gets even worse. And then RIM decides they want to get touchscreen friendly again. They release some BlackBerry Torches with touchscreen, and yes, they're a little bit better, but they still can't compete with what's out on the market, 2010, 2011-ish. Then QNX comes about. QNX is based on a Linux kernel. It's a full touchscreen operating system, really elegant, great to use, easy user interface, very reminiscent of WebOS, and it works fantastic. Everybody's really excited. RIM's going to release their first tablet, and they do. BlackBerry Playbook comes out, the world's excited, then we realize it doesn't have what RIM is known for. Didn't have email on it, didn't have calendar on it, didn't have contacts management on it. Essentially, this thing was a glorified media player with a web browser plugged into it. That has been rectified in subsequent software updates, but still the damage was done. RIM's reputation for releasing a half-baked product really hurt them. And now, BlackBerry Jam's coming, and RIM is saying, okay, BlackBerry Touch has been delayed already now a year and a half. It's coming in early 2013. Hooray! And the operating system looks fantastic, actually. It looks great. It's got a ton of awesome features. You've got email peek. It's got great camera features. You finally have a full multi-touch browser integrated into a BlackBerry phone. And it looks like you're going to have a really awesome product, but it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, so now they're facing consumer apathy and they've lost a lot of market share. Apple seems to be doing something very similar. They are resting on their laurels with iOS. Very little has changed since 2007 to 2012 and probably in 2013. We've got apps in there, but the operating system itself is still just as it was. Not to say it's not functional. RIM's operating system was still very functional as well, had a core dedicated base of users, but it hasn't changed much. Apple's innovated certainly in the hardware standpoint, so it does differentiate them a little bit from RIM. They can learn a lesson by not resting on their laurels, continue to push innovation. There's a business term called the innovator's dilemma. Essentially, it's those that are really high on the end of the innovation curve generally end up getting passed by the consumers because they rest on those laurels of their first innovation. They have a hard time sort of duplicating it again or having fire strike twice, so to speak. So my advice to Apple, continue to innovate, continue to try to innovate. I'm sure that's nothing new, I'm sure they know that. But as a voice of the consumer, it's exciting to see a company as innovative, or at least to be as innovative as Apple on the hardware front, fall a little bit short on the software front. They can learn a lesson from the folks at RIM. So let me take a minute to thank our friends and sponsors at Netflix. Netflix streams TV shows and movies directly to your home, saving you time, money, and hassle. As a Netflix Unlimited member, you can instantly watch TV episodes and movies streaming directly to your PC, Mac, or right to your TV with your Xbox 360, PS3, or Wii console. Watch as many movies as you want, anytime you want, and you can cancel anytime. For a limited time, get a free 30-day trial membership. Go to netflix.com/buffalo and try it now. Give it a shot. You can watch all your movies. That's netflix.com/buffalo for your free 30-day trial. If you live in the UK or Ireland, don't worry, Netflix has you covered as well. Just go to netflix.co.uk/buffalo or netflix.ie/buffalo. So what do you guys think? Are you excited about BlackBerry 10? Am I way off that Apple can learn something from what happened to BlackBerry? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Rettinger's Rants. Be sure to check us out at technobuffalo.com for the latest and greatest tech news. I'm John Rettinger. I'll see you in the next video.